for full context as to what's going on, this didn't go up until I was at work, and I don't have a whole lot of time to be able to spend trying to work on it tomorrow morning, Saturday morning, because we are doing something with my niece in regards to her wedding. We are working on getting corsages and boutonnieres and everything else like that taken care of, and I'm in charge of that. And so I can't pay as much attention to being able to do this tomorrow. And if I wait till Sunday, then I'd have to do it off of the official, which is not a bad thing. Bear in mind, that's not a bad thing. I just don't have as much time, and I want to get this out as quickly as possible. So I am doing this at I am recording this at 9:12 at night in Nebraska, which is Central Time. So it probably won't be technically ready to go up until midnight, and it's not going to be going up until 8 something in the morning on Saturday. So that'll be fun. Otherwise, it probably wouldn't get done very well. So into this. We have chapter 1160, the God Valley Incident. Yep, we're just going right into the God Valley Incident from this. So, we have Yamato's cover story first. This might be the last one, or we might have another one or two more. We'll find out. So we have Yamato's cover page story. Yamato has returned to the capital, probably with Ultian page 1 in tow, and is now looking down upon the flower capital from this newly built shrine that is for Odin and his comrades, for Odin and for Ashura and Izo and for the other ones who passed away, for all the other ones who didn't make it out of Onigashima during the battle that were on their side, any ones who previously didn't make it out of Onigashima, like the previous daimyo and stuff like that. So we get that. And it's, overlooking the flower capital at the hall, enshrining Odin and his comrades. So, right where the previous chapter left off, back to God Valley of Babies, as I've nicknamed it at the moment. So we cut back to right after they have brought the members of the Davy clan up onto the stage where they have the MC Celestial Dragon up there. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, I think is what it says. There's 9 up there. And it's, behold, the Davy clan! And the other Celestial Dragons all start throwing rocks and axes and daggers and stuff like that up onto the stage. And all and they're all shouting in anger and everything else like that. It's that loathsome lineage. They've been hated since their ancestors' time. No one would ever try to show them any love. So, obviously, as we found out at the end of the previous chapter, Rox is a member of the Davy clan. He's actually Davy D. Davy D. Zebek. He's probably just still going to get referred to as Rox or Zebek, whichever one. And in regards to this, we have it that, Teach and his mother are up on stage. We know this. We saw them in the previous chapter. We're going to see them here in a moment. And so we're getting that. These are other members of the Davy clan. The Davy clan was this very interesting thing that Garling found on God Valley. Supposedly, they've just been hiding out there to a degree, although by a technicality, we know Rox hid his name. Other members of the Davy clan probably hid their name. And there's still the whole debate of okay, is Joy Boy the originator of the D clan, or was it Davy Jones, Davy D Jones that was the originator of it? Was it someone else? Was there someone prior to them that they took that from? We're not sure yet. The Davy clan seem to be far more despised than the other members of the D clan, given the fact that Garp is essentially the Marines version of Uncle Sam. I want you to join the Marines. Garp is essentially their version of that, and he is known as Monkey D. Garp. He does not hide that. And of course, Luffy is Monkey D. Luffy, and now it of course has been revealed 2 years ago that it's Monkey D. Dragon. and such. And, like, Law has kept his name hidden. We only know about that because of his flashback. But to the rest of the world, he's just Trafalgar Law. It's not Trafalgar D. Water Law, barring a few specific people who do know about it. But in this regard, we have it that these ones are even far more despised, because if this was something then, like, then Garp would have, if there was the same level of hatred for anyone who had the Will of D as there is for the Davy clan specifically, then Garp would not have been a Marine. The second he tried to join, they would have been like, okay, and, whoever higher up finds out about it. So there's this Marine named Monkey D. Garp from the East Blue. He's from an island called Dawn Island. Do we want to go see if there's anybody else there that might be a member of the Will of D? And then, to be fair, well, no, they wouldn't have used, like, the Goa Kingdom as part of their hunt, because the Goa Kingdom is an allied kingdom. But, like, maybe they would have captured the other members of that live there, if there were any other members, and, would have brought them and done something similar to this. So, Will of D, government doesn't like it. Davy clan, oh, they're a lot worse. So we have them yelling, and it's just like, sever their bloodline. Are they Buccaneers too? So this is kind of one of the questions that we've kind of had, like, okay, how do the Buccaneers, go into this? I'm like, Kuma is here. We know he's on the island during this incident. We know that Clapp and his wife and Kuma were all captured simply because of the fact that both that Clapp and Kuma were Buccaneers. They were captured and turned into slaves. So it is this question of, like, okay, how do those things all tie in together? Clearly, the Buccaneers probably were on Joy Boy's side. Maybe Joy Boy was a Buccaneer in the past. Maybe Davy D. Jones was a Buccaneer. There is the possibility that Blackbeard or Rocks might be Buccaneers, but we're not sure about that. Or, like, there's, like, because it's, like, those who have, like, lineage of giants is part of how they're described, but we're not exactly sure how that lines up with everything, because, like Hyrudine is, part giant, and, well, he's fully giant, excuse me. Colin is half human, half giant, and he seems to be aging and looks just like a regular giant kid. But I don't think he would be considered a Buccaneer. So there's that question there. So we have it here that they're all shouting, and they're like, wait, don't throw things at them yet. And the MC is like, no, put those away. Don't throw things at them yet. You'll ruin the merchandise. Stop that. And we know that they had Shaki on stage earlier, and they've already taken her off stage probably and put her back in her cage, which I hate. And we have the Celestial Dragons, so it's like, eliminate them. This day will go down in history for a very different reason than what you're expecting. Yes, this day is going to go down in infamy. And we look up on stage, we get a close-up on stage, and we see several people standing there. We see a guy who has kind of like a straw hat on his head, not a Luffy or, Roger-style straw hat, but a straw hat. He's in manacles, clearly very beaten up. Other people are standing there. There's, I think, at least, like, 2 women, another guy who has kind of more odd teeth, and maybe a child, and then we see we see Teach and his mother has, like, the typical, like, Oda pretty woman face, except she is, like, very badly beaten, and she is, like, holding Teach to her, and, like, Teach is looking out at this crowd, and, like, the panel that we see that's, like, his perspective looking at the Celestial Dragon to sever their bloodline, it's, like, them looking like monsters, and it's very reminiscent of the way that we see in Orochi's flashback, when we're getting, like, Orochi's section of, like, Odin's flashback, where it's Orochi talking about how the Kurozumi clan were hunted down like monsters, and were hunted down like animals simply because of the actions of his grandfather. And by a technicality, you could say that had the Kurozumi not been treated that way, and had it just been the grandfather and any others who were involved in the assassinations of the other daimyo who were part of that, had the other members of the family just not been implicated or had been pardoned, Orochi probably wouldn't have turned out the way that he did. Maybe he still would have turned into a scumbag, but maybe not quite on the same level. He's a more neighborhood version of a scumbag as opposed to an entire island version of a scumbag. Type of a thing. But, like, we have this where we, because in Orochi's flashback, we have that the citizens of Wano are viewed as monsters by him because, like, they chased down and killed his mother, and he managed to escape before he's found by Higurashi and Senimaru. But, like, we have just, like, that terrified look on his face, and, like, Teach's here is very similar to that, and he's 2 when this is happening. He is much younger than Orochi was, but he is seeing these, weird creatures with bubble heads screaming at him about, like, sever their bloodline and everything else like that. So it's like, okay, we're getting a core memory made here, if in Inside Out terms. Not a good one, a very, very bad one, a very, very fear and anger, filled one, fear and sadness filled memory going on here. But, so you get that. Next panel we have, like, this whole big double page spread just to start out with. So next panel is we have Garling next to Saturn, and it's like Saturn is like, this is quite the find, Garling, and Garling is like, I can only take only credit fate for it. Humble words there. Give it about 38 years, you're gonna have his job. And we have the announcer saying, now, let's introduce the favorites for the individual competition. And we cut away from that to where we have Dragon back in, like, the little, building that he found Shanks and Shamrock's mother in. And she's like, it's too late for me, but my little ones, I want them to be raised by someone with a warm heart. Please, don't hand them over to him. Now, assumedly, like, we know that she has, like, the boy, she has the same red hair as Shanks and Shamrock, so there's that for Dragon to go on. She said her boy, she probably gave him a little more information about, like, they're twins, they're about a year old, they have red hair like me, and he took them from me after he stabbed me, and, like, that type of thing. So, like, Dragon, she probably gave him a little bit of a description, or at least as best as possible. And so, he's doing that. And we have him running, and, like, we see her hand fall onto the ground to indicate that she has passed. And we have Dragon's thoughts, and it's just like, you and your children may be strangers to me, but I want to help. If I can't do that much, then I have no business standing here. So he is off and running, trying to go and find those 2 little kids. Good job, Dragon. You're doing something. Good job. Yeah. Although, to be fair, this incident here is probably something that very much shapes him as to why he has Garp-hide Luffy away. This what is going on right here with these people, because, like, there's this going on like a loudspeaker from the announcement, Celestial Dragon. I hope they give him a name eventually, but we get that. By the way, in regards to Celestial Dragon names, which we get to see more of the God Knights in this chapter, but we don't really get a full, we don't get any real, well, okay, so we kind of get a new name for one of the families in this chapter. We do get a new name for that, but we don't get any new names for the different members of the Celestial Dragon specifically. But I did want to point out, and this was something that I hadn't been revealed at the time when I talked about some of this Don Quixote family, Doflamingo's family. But we have Don Quixote Milzigard, who, of course, has passed and he was executed, and in One Piece so far. But we finally found out his father's name, and I found that out when I was looking up other things. And I'm like, oh my god, they gave the rat fink a name. And it is Shiver Calero. I'm like, I don't know if that meant anything. I tried looking it up. I couldn't find anything, but I wanted to point that out. Some point in time, I'll probably do something else where I discuss them, but I wanted to point that out there. So we cut back to the announcer, and here, like, there are 150 rare rabbits to hunt down. That's not to mention the 13 super rare ones. I believe we know that Kuma is one of the super rare ones. I don't remember who the other ones were, but Kuma is one of them. And it's just like, ooh, this is a crowd. And it's just like, each of those is worth 10,000 points apiece. It's like, there's only 1 hour before the hunt begins. Now run, little rabbits. Give us a good chase. And, like, all of the citizens are, like, running as fast as they can. All the ones that are the citizens of God Valley. And like a lot of this chapter is bits of this chapter are like redraws of things we've already seen in regards to Kuma's flashback, but it's like a different angle of it to give us new context or a different point of view as to what was going on at that moment. So we have all the citizens running, and they're all like crying and screaming. There's like a mother holding her child. There's a father with like probably his son on his shoulders. There's several older people. There's like a guy in a wheelchair being pushed by another guy. And like all of these citizens are so just beaten and bloody and bruised already from what was going on with the Marines showed up. And it's like their current was like, is this a joke? Are they really going to kill us? And they're like just so worried about this. And like we just see other members, and like the Davy clan have probably also been shoved off into this area as well to run and try to escape. And it's just like, if we can hold out for 3 weeks, we'll make it. All we can do is run, find a good hiding spot somewhere. So they're running, presumably however long, and now the Celestial Dragons are on the run. To be fair, they probably didn't actually give them the full time just to F with them. So now we have it that the Celestial Dragons are going off and starting their hunt. It's just like, let the hunt begin. And we see several of the Celestial Dragons that are just like the generic ugly looking Celestial Dragons on like their battle. I was going to say ducks, but that's insulting to Karu and the Supersonic Duck Squadron. To be fair, any bird that I would compare these things to is an insult to that bird. But yeah, so the weird bird things like ostriches or emus or something like that, or they're very similar to that with a very long neck type thing. So they're running, and it's just like, where are they? Where are they? Searching. And we see like a family hiding behind a rock, and the mom's like holding the baby, going like, don't cry, don't worry, please don't cry. And the baby just starts crying, and one of the Celestial Dragons turns, sees him, and is like, there you are, you rabbits. And they're like, please spare our child, and we beg of you. And we cut away, and we hear bang, bang, bang. More things to make the Celestial Dragons just abhorrent. And we see one of the transponder snails. That's one of the video transponder snails, because as we saw in Kuma's vision of his flashback of God Valley, we saw that there were like these transponder snails that are like filming and like broadcasting back to Maree Joie, so that way all of the Celestial Dragons that are still at Maree Joie, possibly I guess if they want to watch them, and the other Gorosei are able to watch as well about what's going on in the hunting contest. And like they're just like, all the citizens are like, please help me, don't kill my husband. And and then like they're getting they're getting shot and everything else like that. And we cut back to, Maree Joie, and it's just like home of the gods, the holy land of Maree Joie, and like the crowd's just going, woo, go! They're just like cheering. And like we have the announcer going like, the Figurelands are in the lead, but the Bevete, Bevette, Bevete, and Manmeyer families are hot on their tail. So Manmeyer family we've heard about. They're the Gunkos family, and we've seen another member of the family that is the one with like the, newsy cap with the world government symbols on it and like the teal hair. We'll see her again in a moment. But we know of them. We've been to the Manmeyer family for a little bit. The Bevete family is a new one that we have not heard of yet, so we get that. That's another name drop for that. Going through, we see Garling riding on his bird, just like slaughtering people willy-nilly as he is wont to do. And then we see like two of the female Celestial Dragons that are not like the pretty female Celestial Dragons like Shalria or some of the other ones that we've seen. These are the more ugly ones, I guess. I don't know, the less attractive ones. I don't know. I'm trying not to be offensive to someone who might happen to have these features, but in this case, they're the Celestial Dragons, so I'm just going to call them ugly, and I don't care. They're like, ooh, Garling, with like all the hearts. And like we have like other celestial dragons that I think are at Marijois, because like we see the hoof of the dragon in the background, so it would be Marijois. It's like the hoof of the dragon statue in the background. And they're like, who did you bet on? House Shepherd for the clan contest and Gunko for the solos. So Gunko is known to everybody. They just don't know that she is like a very, close servant of Emu. They probably don't even know who Emu is. To be fair, they may not care. And it's just like, really? Well, that's your choice. But there's only one god Steel among the knights. And the god Steel is most likely referring to Garling. And the translation is just Japanese uses god sword / tool, so like god Steel among the knights. And we cut, next panel is we see Gunko using her arrow fruit, so she had that ability even, 38 years ago. And she is using it to, just like we saw her do in Elbaf so far, stab through several of the rabbits, several of the citizens that are running away. And it's just like House Manmeyer scores another massive round of points, of bonus points. And so these may have been some of the possibly members of the Davy clan, although they don't look like any of the ones that were on the stage. They could also just be some of the other rare rabbits, or however they end up putting them. And we get, God's Knight, House Manmeyer, Saint Gunko, and she's in like the kind of the French-ish Legion looking outfit thing that she wears. Still got the bandages on, but she's got longer hair, and she's got her, her arrows going about her. And we cut back to like the village area where a bunch of, assumedly like the village area, like the old west looking town area, is like the God's Knights are kind of, or the Celestial Dragons are kind of based out of there, so like they're set up there. And this is probably like, we're going to find out in a moment that this is where Shanks and Shamrock have been taken to keep them safe. That's where Garling took them. We'll find out in a second. But this is also where Shocky is. And she is inside of one of the cages, or inside a cage, or possibly they just may have just put her in like the jail cell in like the house there, in like the sheriff's, house there, office there. And obviously something that was pointed out that I neglected to point out, I should say, in the previous chapter is like, we know that Shocky is strong as a fighter. That is one of the things that comes with like her, the fact that she got all the way up to the rank of Empress, is that Empress of the Kuja, is that, yes, she is beautiful, but the Kuja see strength as beauty. So not only was she very physically beautiful, she was very strong. And we haven't gotten a huge amount of, shown of what she can do during this time frame, and unfortunately we haven't gotten to see a whole lot of what she can pull off in the present. That would be a nice thing to get to see, but we'll see if that ends up happening at some point in time. But at this point in time, like, okay, we know that she was clearly betrayed by Ochoko, but it's like, okay, she can fight. Why didn't she fight back against whoever came to capture her, the God's Knights or whoever it was that came to capture her, to take her to God Valley, or take her to be held until it was time for God Valley? Why didn't she fight back? Did they have someone to use as a hostage? What happened? And it's like, was there someone that they used as a hostage to like threaten her of, very much the same way that like Judge threatened Sanji into complying because of threatening Zeph and the Straw Hats and everything. Big Mom and Judge threatened Sanji into complying that way. In this case, it might have been someone else that they knew about, that they held against Shocky to use them as leverage against her to make her, obey, to make her compliant. So there's a question there. But we have like several of the, I don't know if it's the guards or other God's Knights, or God's Knights, not the God's Knights, but other, Celestial Dragons or whatever talking. It's just like, must be nice to be Saint Garling. Knowing a beauty like her is gonna be his wife soon. I'm like, although I guess it's still up in the air. And like we see Shocky and she's just quiet. Like, there is the question of like, okay, we know that they kept her in good condition. Like, they fed her, they bathed her, they have her in a nice dress. They probably did her hair. They have her in like the Kuja style dress, all that stuff. And, like, she is not bruised or bloody or anything like that the way that everybody else is, the way that all of the other citizens are, civilians are, and stuff like that are being used as the rabbit. She is kept in essentially, like, mint condition. So, that's just wrong. I mean, it would have been wrong if they were beating her too, but it's wrong for why they're keeping her that way. It's, like, not because she's a human, it's because she's being viewed as a prize of, like, her beauty is worthy enough to be used as a prize in this competition. And Chucky's not saying anything. We cut to another area where we see Summers, the bastard, and he has cornered a child up a tree, and he is currently kicking the tree, trying to get the child to climb down. He's like, you climbed up pretty high. And it's just like, hop down. Hop down. I laid a nice thorny cushion for you. So we see him. So that is, thorn fruit even way back then, and he's wrapped like thorns around the ground under the tree, and he's trying to, it's like, okay, either you stay up there and I can find a way to get to you, or you can jump and you're gonna land in the thorns, is kind of the way that it's set up here. And the kid's like, go away, and he's like crying and everything, and we see like a close-up of the thorns, and then we see the kid's father running toward her, and he's like, stop, that's my son. Slip. And it's just like, dad, and like the kid's falling, the dad's trying to get to him, and it's just like, don't worry, I'll catch you. And it's just like, Russell, and it's like, I don't know, the anime, when they finally get to this part, might be able to go a bit further than Oda wants to go in the manga, but assumedly the dad was trying to get to the kid and, try to catch him before he lands in the thorns. The dad may have fallen, and it's the same effed up thing that Summers is doing with, the thorns on the giant kids at Elbath, and, making it the more you love them, the more you're going to be hurt by the thorns if you try to touch them. It's the same setup here. He may not have developed that technique yet. Maybe this inspired it, but it's a effed up thing anyway. And, we hear a rustle, and you can just kind of guess what happens, what's going to happen there. And he's just like, aw, how touching. And he's just like walking off, does not care. Cutting back to Dragon, we see him arrive in this clearing where we see a ton of people on the ground, a ton of bodies. And he's just like, I thought by helping her I could defy the celestial dragons. And he's like, ooh. Because like he's trying to prevent himself from throwing up. Just like, yet my entire platoon ended up executed. So these are all of the Marines that had been on the island with him when they showed up to capture all of the citizens. That was a question a lot of us had, of just like, okay, they're telling the Marines that this is a training exercise of go through and shoot these civilians on this island. And it's, we're not killing them. It's like knockout gas and whatever else, and like tranquilizers and everything to like take them down and everything. But it's like all of these ones followed orders and they've been killed anyway. Dragon questioned orders and is defying them, and he's still alive, but that's because he was like hiding. He was, off trying to go somewhere else. And we cut to back to one of the Marine ships where we have, I don't know, one of the Marines talking to the other Marine that had been the one yelling at Dragon earlier. And it's like, are they all present, I assume? They were all present, I assume? And the one who had been yelling at Dragon in the previous chapter, naturally, sir. And he's thinking, where the hell did that Dragon kid go? Don't tell me he went to meddle with what's happening on the island. And we see Dragon showing up. Again, this is 17-year-old Dragon. This is Dragon at the same age that Luffy was at the beginning of the story. And Dragon's being pretty dang brave here. At this point in time in Luffy's life, he was trying to, he was finding his friends in the East Blue and working his way into the Grand Line. And Dragon's here, having probably grown up in a semi-similar fashion, minus the devil fruit, and a few other factors. But he's coming around and he spots one of these celestial dragons, having spotted where we have Ivankov, where Ivankov is up on the rock talking to Kuma and the other captured slaves that are being used as targets, as rabbits, and like talking to them. And the Celestial Dragon is like, it's here, the Buccaneer brat worth 10,000 points. So this Celestial Dragon is going to try to shoot Kuma, who already has like an arrow in his back. So this is when Ivankov is up on top of the rock going like, you will never win if... You will never win. I'm not even going to try to do that. You will never win if you play their rigged game. Focus on escaping at all. Escaping it all together. It's like, we're escaping God Valley. And Dragon's just thinking, they've still got hope? Like, how? And I like that there's clearly going to be like this cyclical effect as to what's going on here. It's like, Ivankov, Kuma, Ginny, these other ones that are here, they are defying what is going on around them, defying the Celestial Dragons, trying to escape from this hell, trying to focus on some amount of hope, on some amount of light at the end of the tunnel. And Dragon is being like just befuddled by this, given everything that he is seeing. And he's like, they still have hope? And like, we know that Dragon is going to end up being this person that, in his, as the freedom fighters and going into the Revolutionary Army and everything else like that, that he is going to be this person that is trying to liberate so many different kingdoms from these types of situations. Maybe not quite on this level, but similar things. Other places where they are being abused by the royalty and nobility and the rulers of their island and everything, and all the other slaves who are still at Marie-Joie and everything else like that. So Dragon is going to be motivated by what he's seeing here. And then later, I kind of wonder if Kuma, Ivankov, and Ginny end up finding out that Dragon was here when this was going on. But I don't think so, because Dragon only recently mentioned, I think, to like Ivankov that, yeah, I spent some time as a Marine. I'm sorry, what? Type of thing. So, the Celestial Dragon that's here is like getting ready to kill them. And it's just like, that's 10 kills all in a row for my prized rifle. And he's like, focusing in on Kuma. And we get, bam! And then we look, and Dragon is just like, damn, and he tranked the Celestial Dragon. And the others didn't even notice. And then we cut to another Celestial Dragon that is just, rampaging through the forest, shooting more and more people, being horrid. And then we get, like, explosions off on the coast. And it's like, off the east coast. What was that? It's like, it's the Rocks Pirates. There is no time. We're being swarmed by notorious pirates. So this is where the Rocks Pirates are showing up. So this is where we're getting another 2-page spread where we have the Rocks Pirates showing up. This is... this would have been before they're all jumping off of the ship. The moment we saw in Kuma's flashback, this is before they're all going to jump off the ship. And land on God Valley. This is like the previous conversation of that. So we see a good chunk of the crew. We see Streisand, Stussy, Whitebeard, Barbell, Rocks in the center, Lin, Kaido, Shiki, Gloriosa, Kyo, and Captain John. Don't see anybody else at the moment, but we have the Rocks Pirates, and it's I think it's Rocks that's talking. Listen up, fellas. They've got Shiki here, along with a bunch of treasure, not to mention devil fruits. At no point ain't no point in us killing each other over this stuff yet. We've got to work together for now. We'll divvy up the booty once we're back, and there better not be any belly aching. Got it? And we have Barbell. We can't share Shaki. And Shiki is just like, the answer is obvious, isn't it? She'll fall for whoever saves her. I'm like, she's already fallen for Rayleigh. Not that any of you know that. Gloriosa might. And then we have Kyo going, damn right, I'm not backing down. And John is just like, Shaki. Shaki's gonna fall for whoever hauls in the most treasure. And then Whitebeard's like, suit yourselves. I'm just here to save a friend. That said, if she does fall for me, I wouldn't complain. He's like, I'm just here to save her as a friend. Although, I mean, if I save her and she falls in love with me, then, bonus. And we have Susie going like, how could you say that, Newgate? And then we have Gloriosa like, if I save Shocky, Roger should be grateful, right? It's like, okay, Gloriosa, you don't even know that Roger's going to show up yet. It hasn't arrived yet. And you're thinking about trying to impress him. A woman who is essentially the closest thing that you possibly have to a sister is currently in a life or horrible enslavement situation. So probably focus on that. We have Stroyson, Ochoko didn't even leave the island. She'll probably ban him from the bar. I'm like, there's a different reason she's going to ban him from the bar that apparently none of you ever find out about, because I'm pretty sure if any of you ever did, you would have gone back to the island and strung Ochoko up by his innards for causing this incident in the first place. And then Lin's like, how stupid can you get? Heaven and earth could flip and Shocky wouldn't give any of you losers the time of day. She's not wrong. And then we have Kaido. Hey, Lin, you're going to save one of those devil fruits for me, right? Cutting into this, we have it that the Marine ships are firing on Rox's ship, which isn't really doing much. The Rox ship is probably firing back. I don't think we've gotten the name of Rox's ship. We know Blackbeard's is the Saber of Xebec, but we don't know about Rox's yet. And it's just like, fire, this is tedious, ram 'em. We've got to get away. And we see the Marines panicking. And it's just like, give up, you lousy Marines. Follow me, crew. And we have, Rox jumping forward. And we are getting, we're getting a image of the figurehead of the ship. Now, I honestly don't remember if we've seen the figurehead of Rox's ship before. I'm not remembering if we have or not. I'm not thinking of any time, but we're seeing it here. And it is essentially, it looks like it's a corpse tied to the top of the figurehead, but it might have been carved and then they put like actual clothing on it. Otherwise, that's even more messed up if it's a real thing. But like they're attacking the Marines that are on the shore, and they're like, jumping on, coming ashore and everything like that. And we cut to where we have more of the Celestial Dragons that have kind of returned to like the little Old West town area inside of God Valley. And it's just like, this is bad. Pirates are here. What is the Navy doing? If anything happens to us, we'll hang you all. So they're yelling at the Marines that are there. And it's just like, come in. Please be advised, the West Coast is a dangerous zone. And we see that Dragon is using like this distraction. He has managed to sneak his way into the town area, find Shanks and Shamrock. To be fair, they're probably under pretty heavy guard. Found Shanks and Shamrock, managed to get them, and then now is running away with them. And we have the Roger Pirates have docked there. So it's just like, so now they're talking about the Roger Pirates having shown up, and Dragon is running away, and he's got Shanks and Shamrock, held in his arms. And it's just like, it's a miracle they're not both crying after all this. Yeah, it is a miracle. You lucky. Now, a lot of people are like, how would they know? How did Roger know that was Shanks' name? And it's just like, well, they're kids. A lot of the parents will sometimes sew the kids' name into their clothing, stuff like that. So that part doesn't really bother me. The Celestial Dragons are just all panicking. It's just like, get the Celestial Dragons to the center of the island. Don't let them get hurt. What's going on? Is this the end of the world? So the Marines are panicking. Fair. And it's just like, first rocks, now Roger. The Roger Pirates have made landfall. Ah! So they're just terrified. So now we cut to where we see the Roger Pirates here that are all just, bolting toward it. This is pretty similar to what we saw in Kuma's flashback with the Roger Pirates showing up. Although at that time, we were unaware of the whole Shocky context as to the additional bit here. But no, it's just like Roger shouting, I'm here to save you, Shocky. You guys have no chance with her. Focus on stealing the treasure. So we have Roger in the middle. We have Rayleigh on his left and Scopper on his right, and a bunch of the others behind them as they are running full tilt into this. So we have the Rox Pirates. and they're like beating up whoever is in their way, the Marines or whoever, save Shockey. There's a guy that gets beat up, and I'm looking at this, and I had to double take. I'm like, I don't think that's Roger that got beat up. And he was just like, sorry. Maybe they did beat up their own captain. I don't know. I can't tell from this angle. They might have beat up him. I can't tell. And then we cut to Garling, and he's like, I guess the game's over. He's like upset that he's not going to win the game fair and square. So he is now, the other Celestial Dragons are like, what are you doing? Do something. So now we get to where we get a bit more of a reveal of some of the other Gods Knights. Some of the ones we've already seen before, but a few others. So we get like this nice, pretty good page spread here where we have pull those Marines back and see to it that the Celestial Dragons are protected. The Knights of God are rallying. And that, I think that's supposed to be Garling talking. So we see the ones that we've seen before. So we have Figarland in the center. And then off to his right, off to his left, we have the lady from the Manmeyer family. Off to Figarland's left, off to Garling's left, we have the lady that has like the long black hair, and she has like a interesting pointed sword. For some reason they gave her blonde hair in the anime, but she clearly has like dark hair here, so maybe that's just something that'll be fixed later. We have Summers next to her with his thorn sword. On Garling's left, next to the Manmeyer lady, we have the guy who has like the skull mask or whatever. And then behind them we have two new Celestial Dragons, two new Gods Knights. And like they have the title Knights of God. Knights of God is what we have here. So then we have two others. Both of these ones clearly have more monstrous takes. One of them is kind of looks like a Yeti is the way that people were describing him, like a horned Yeti with really big teeth and everything else like that, very furry. He probably has a zone of some kind, possibly like a mythical, human version of like a Yeti or something like that, or like a mythical version of a Yeti, whatever that would be. Yeti is mythical, but you get the idea. Abominable snowman, whichever way you want to go. So we kind of have that. Kind of picture a more evil looking one from like the Rudolph special, I guess, would be a good way to put it. And then the other one is a female Gods Knight that has kind of spiky teeth, seems to have a cigar in her mouth, has hair that looks half black and half white, sunglasses, somewhat of like a furry cape, looks like she has horns coming out of her head, and I don't think we see her weapon. The guy with the skull looks like he has a scythe, but I think we saw that already in Kuma's flashback. But looking at this lady, the big, monstrous looking lady, I was reminded of, I was trying to think of, so it's one of the numbers, and it is Kunyu, who is, I think, number 9 or whatever. She's like the big female number that we see that's part of like Black Maria's group. She gets defeated by Brooke in the story, but like we see her. But like that's kind of what she reminds me of. Some people are saying that maybe because of her teeth, maybe she is related to oh frick, what was his name? Goofy looking one that turned out to have spiky teeth. Well, whatever. The other God's Knight that's running around on Elbath right now. Someone will yell at me in the comments about it, I'm sure, eventually. But we have, that he's, possibly related to her is one of the thoughts, or that she's related to him. Killing him, duh. So we have that. So we also, there's pretty good theory that like Summers had been at God Valley. That was something that doesn't seem to be surprising anybody. So now we have pirates keep pouring. So we're cutting outside of the island, like looking more down on the island as like everybody's flooding into the island and causing panic. Pirates keep pouring in from every side of the island. Warships commence artillery fire. Don't let them land. I think we've done I think we're done for. That's the announcer. Final double page spread of the chapter. So from here, we got some good action. We got one of the panels is it's Whitebeard and Shiki, and they seem to just be like slicing their way through a ton of the Marines that are there, along with whoever else is there causing problems. Shiki probably will just go through the citizens with very little care. I don't think Whitebeard would really try to do anything to the citizens. He might try to help some of them, so we'll see what happens there. But it's just like pirates keep coming one after another. We don't even know their objective. Their objective is they're there to save Shaki, steal your devil fruits, and take your treasure. It's not that hard to figure out. And they're like, the Celestial Dragons are all terrified. And then we see a frame, one of the panels, it is a hand holding a cannonball and then chucking the cannonball. And this is Garp's entrance, because we know that Garp likes to make his entrance by throwing cannonballs at people, because that's the way that Garp is. And it's just like, I'm not gonna stand by and watch while you dice up my troops like vegetables. So Garp is more there not to protect the Celestial Dragons, because that's not what he's interested in. He's there to fight Roger, probably Rox too, to a degree, and to protect the other Marines that are there. Garp might also help some of the others escape. I'm kind of going to be interested to see if like Garp and Dragon run into each other on the island. That'll be an interesting one, because in canon, even in filler, we have never seen Dragon and Garp interact with each other. I am shedding like nobody's business. And so Garp has thrown this cannonball from a good ways off, and it is hitting and blowing up. So we have Rox and Roger both like, oh, Garp. They're angry that they sent Garp with their hockey. And the other Marines are just like, that ship, it's Vice Admiral Garp. And he's like, I'm here. And it's just like, reinforcements have arrived. And we see Garp, and we see why am I having a hard time with names today? Bogard off to the side. Again, redraw of Kuma's flashback, where we saw that with Garp showing up with Garp's fleet, and the Marines all have like heart eyes, and it's just like, oh, we're saved. And then we see Garp smiling as like the last image of the chapter, and it's just like the legends have assembled, and we have a break next week, which is good because I work a lot next week. I also have like other Devil Fruit videos to do, so bit shorter than what I normally do, but I'm not coughing my way through this one. And it's going up. It's being recorded a lot later than normal, but I think I hit most of the points that I wanted to make. If anything, I'll end up circling back around to them at some point in time. I'm sure of it, either in the next chapter review or so. We're all pretty sure that, well, we kind of have it confirmed that like Dragon is probably going to be the one that puts Shanks in the treasure chest that the Roger pirates end up taking, probably eats the devil fruit that was in the treasure chest, and that's probably where he's going to get his power from. Besides that, I don't think there was much else that went with that in regards to that. I mean, like, we still have to figure out how he's going to have them separated, because, I mean, it's quite possible that the other members or so may end up being like, oh, hey, or not quite that, but it might be that but something's going to happen. He's going to have to put one twin somewhere and one twin in another place. And it's like, okay, well, I can get one of them here. He may end up facing down Garling. That would be interesting if, like, Garling catches them, sees Dragon has his kids, and then Garp shows up, sees that Garling has his son cornered, and Garp's not going to let that stand, but it, like, maybe does something, or something's going to happen, and there's going to be an interaction possibly between Roger and Garling and Dragon, or something. Something's going to happen where one of the twins is, or they're going to get separated. Because because we know that Shamrock ends up back with Garling and is raised as a God's Knight and raised as a Celestial Dragon, has all of the arrogance that goes along with it. I was actually trying to think of like all of the Celestial Dragons that we have seen that did not have an about face in the way that they act in regards to like Roshinate or Homing's wife or Milzigard and everything. I was trying to think if there was any other Celestial Dragons that we have seen in the story that have shown any type of remorse, sympathy, compassion, something. And I'm like, no. I was like, just trying to think on that. I'm like, no. Sadly, no, we have not. Just the ones that I mentioned. Okay. I will give this to Doflamingo. As effed up of a person as he is, I don't even think he would want this fully type of a thing to happen to an island. Yes, I made the comparisons that he did similar things to when he uses the bird cage and stuff and his parasite thread and everything on Dressrosa and everything. But this is a complete and utter slaughter of an island. Doflamingo didn't want Dressrosa slaughtered. Doflamingo is messed up in the head and did effed up things to a lot of people. But be interesting to see how he lines up against Garling at the end of this. That'll be an interesting thing. To be fair, I don't think Doflamingo would have stabbed or killed the mother of his child. I guess it would depend on who the mother is and if she was standing between him and the children. But Shanks and Shamrock's mother wasn't even standing between Garling and the kids. She was just like, oh, we can be together now. Garling could have just brought her back and made her one of his wives. Just effed with her longer that way. Probably would have been worse, but still. Okay, that's what I have for this. I thank you very much for watching. This is going to be going up sometime around 8 or whatever in the morning, but first I got to get editing done, so see how long that takes me. So that's what I have. I thank you for watching. I hope you have a nice rest of your, well, all day. Bye. Also, it'll be a Husker game, so go Huskers.